right, welcome to an episode of Hope Dealers, and today I am excited to be here with two of my favorite Hope Dealers of all time, Alexander County's Port Program's very own peer support leaders. Today we have with us Danny McClain and AKA Anki and Erin Price. Welcome, guys. How are y'all doing today?
Just fine, yourself.
We're good.
Good. So as as this program goes along, what we try to do is we try to make sure that we introduce the community, we introduce the world to you all amazing people who are out here in the trenches, out here in the streets, dealing hope to these individuals who have lived a life, lived an experience that you can share, that you can talk about. And so just kind of we'll start with you, Danny. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you've been, what you've been doing, and where you're headed right now, what's going on in your life.
Yeah, my name is Danny McClain, AKA Anki Connor. That's what most people know me by. You know, it's just a great feeling just to be able to be clean and sober today. My life, I've not always been that way. My drug of choice was crack cocaine. And the life that I've lived, you know, it kept me in and out of prison, you know, neglecting my family, my kids. It has cost me a great deal of my life. But due to Recovery University and getting a chance and opportunity to be able to give back to my community, you know, has given me hope and has given me stability and has built my confidence that I can maybe be able to give back to those that are suffering from the same disease of addiction that I've suffered for years. You know, we're here to support you. We're here. We're not law enforcement. We don't care what you've done or how much you've used and who your connection was. That we're not concerned about all that. We're just concerned about being able to give you the same hope and love and support was given to us, hoping that you can have a better life and a better future, not only just for yourself, but for your families. Because, you know, realize everything that we do, we affect somebody else other than just ourselves, you know, and there is help out here, you know, and we're offering it to you. But it's all entirely up to you guys, you know, to come in and receive it. But I tell you, you know, it was always said to me one time before, the program of Narcotics Anonymous says that, you know, it's jails, institutions, and death. But my scenario, I tell you, is that it's either you sober up, or you get locked up, or you get covered up. And we are here to be able to help you to live again. Just come and live again. We'll be able to teach you the fundamentals and the basic recovery knowledge, you know, and to be able to help you navigate through recovery, you know, the best easy possible way we can, you know, and just be yourself, you know.
So tell me a little bit about, you know, you Anki as a young kid. When did you first start using?
Well, I started drinking at the age of 13. You know, dealing with family issues, covering up the pain, you know, from the mental and emotional and physical abuse. So I started drinking at the age of 13, and I graduated from that and started using marijuana at 15. You know,
was it easily accessible to you?
Yes, it was. You know, dealing in the streets, you know, it really was. You know.
And so when you graduated from alcohol to marijuana, was it just because it was a different type of high, or was it just something that was accessible and, hey, I want to try this out?
Well, I mean, for me myself, I've always wanted to try different things in
Yeah.
life, and so graduating from that, to me it became more of a downer, and I'm more of a upbeat type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So I experienced and dabbled with cocaine,
Mm.
and
That seems like and of course, everybody knows from our Chemical Brothers podcast and this podcast, I don't have the story that you guys, we talk about stories all the time.
yes, sir.
We talk about everybody has a story and every story matters. And the one part of my story is I've never struggled or had, any type of addiction problem. And so is for somebody who, let's say, because one thing we're always trying to do is break that stigma. Because there's people just like me out here who've never experienced that, or and they don't understand it. So how can, say, one person go from marijuana to crack cocaine? I mean, is that a pretty big jump?
Well, yeah, it is. Being introduced by it by family members, that plays a part too. Whenever it's been used in your family, and therefore it's really easy accessible to get. So that's why I always say, whatever we do, it affects somebody else. And that's how my first use was offered to me by a family member.
Mm.
I don't think there's as much, you like to say, is there a big jump from marijuana to crack cocaine?
Mm-hmm.
A drug is a drug.
Mm.
So it's going to affect people differently. Like one person might say, oh, I can just smoke marijuana and they're fine. But another person can smoke marijuana and totally flip out and, think they're, have their specific overdose, however their body handles that. So when you classify it like that, it's not really the same thing, I guess. It's a drug is a drug, so there's not really a jump, but people have that stigma too, like, oh, it's okay. This is just marijuana. I'm not out here smoking crack cocaine or meth, and that might just be my opinion. Like, there are all different kinds of addictions, and addiction is addiction, whether it's a drug, cigarette. It's my cherry Pepsi. I drink all day, every day.
That's a good point.
So,
And so, Erin, here with us, tell us a little about you and your story.
I'm born and raised here in Alexander County.
Mm-hmm.
I played sports in high school.
What'd you play?
Softball, golf, swam for a little bit. Played basketball, pretty much everything that filled up my time. Once I got out of school, I, dabbled, did some here and there socially, but after my sister died, I was that cliche. I started with pain pills, and it went from there. And then I put the pain pills down, and meth was my drug of choice at that point. So I was kind of like Danny said, it was just introduced to me because not my family, but my friends that I ran around with. And so it was just brought out there. And at that point, it was just something else. It wasn't that it was any worse or better. It was just there.
So I understand, and I get addiction is addiction, and everybody has their own experience with whatever substance there is. I've known Erin for a long time. I've known Danny just in the past, since October, as we got this POR program up and going. There's not a single person that, you hear stereotypes, right? Stereotypes is, you grew up in this area of the county, or you grew up in this area of the town or city you live in, and so you're more adapt. Y'all didn't grow up in those areas. You grew up in a different area than what Anki or Danny did, right? So there's really no stereotype that fits one person.
That's right.
No.
I think a lot of times that when we lose something that's valuable to us in our lives, and not being able to deal with this issue at hand, then we turn to the easiest thing to deal with. I mean, for myself, I lost my grandmother when I was 13, and to me, she was all that I had. So that was a part of me that was gone too. And there was a void there that I couldn't feel. And I had searched and searched to try to feel it. And I think a lot of times we just don't have that connection to be able to cry out or ask for help in ways to be able to
having the right coping skills.
Right.
I guess would be the way, because I was the same way. Like when my sister died, I didn't know how to cope, didn't want to cope. I just wanted to forget about it and numb the pain. And I know that sounds so cliche, but that really is what a lot of it, the stem is from loss or trauma that people don't want to deal with, so they self-medicate.
Yeah, I heard, and that's something that we, I hear a lot. I hear a lot from the individuals that we come in contact with. These amazing people who, I've had a young guy. He lost his son, and he remembers when he lost his son that he went straight into fentanyl. He had a history of substance use, but at that point in time, he was able to kind of cut that off. But it was when he had that experience. And so I heard, and I've said this a lot too, Joe Rogan once said, the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Whatever that is. Yeah. It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be a bad car wreck. It could be some sort of abuse. It could be even something as easy as I stumped my toe on a door. If we don't have those coping skills, then we are more apt to find something that helps us. And I think a lot of times that is control.
Yeah.
You have the control over yourself to make the decision. Okay. And I think that maybe that's where we get that first choice. I've got that first choice of I'm going to make the decision to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try it because I talked to a young girl yesterday, and I said, when was the first time you used? And she said, I was 13 years old. I said, okay. I said, did you just, something happen, or was you just experiment? She said, I was just experimenting. I was just testing. And then from that point on, she became an addict. And so it is different. It is different. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's different.
Yeah.
And what happens, that's where the addiction takes place. Could you say, was there a difference in you before you used and after you used?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. But the thing that actually that you use to take away the pain, eventually it becomes your pain.
Becomes the source of the pain.
Yeah. I mean, for example, I didn't have a relationship with my father, and I was really intimidated by him. So really, I didn't even know how to talk to him, to be honest with you. And so that's why I leave the door open today for my son. Every day that I talk to him, I say, son, are you okay? If there's anything you need to talk to me about, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm your dad. I love you. You can talk to me about anything, and because I didn't get there, and I don't want him to make the same irresponsible decisions that I made, because by me not having that door for my dad, I truly believe that's what drove me into using a little bit, to be honest with you. And then the resentments and anger and all this stuff, that was in me by not having it. And I'm trying to cover it up. And every time that I would get high or graduate. Oh, that's the one. That's it right there. That does it. It takes away the pain. It takes me out of reality. I don't have to deal with issues, you know.
It puts it in the back of your brain instead of the
it
front.
buries it. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what keeps the addict continuing to use. Because once you go up and the pain is gone, then when you come back down, it's still there.
Yep.
And then you got to go back up again. And it's like a seesaw, you up and down, up and down. And then, you know, first you use for fun, and then it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a way of survival.
Yeah.
So
It's not
when
about getting high anymore.
Yeah.
It's about just maintaining
That's
that
right.
level
Yeah.
and not dropping to that low
Yeah.
anymore.
Interesting. So what happens when you after the high and you realize the problems are still there?
Oh, you got to use again.
Mhm.
It's time to use again.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's that, cycle that you got to break because you have to learn how to cope
Yeah.
or to deal with whatever the stem issue is, whatever you're trying to put in the back of your brain, whether it's, I don't have a job,
There you go.
or I don't have a place to live, or somebody died, or there was a wreck, or anything. I don't have a car or gas money.
Mhm.
It's just little stuff, but it starts that cycle. So, it's learning, teaching the community how to do that, and start them young. Like it should be taught in schools.
How to
Yes, because that's what you're at school for, is to
Mhm.
learn things. And kids get most of their basic social skills or cues from their parents, what they see from their parents. But not every kid gets to see, proper or correct social skills. They might see something different. So that just keeps the cycle going.
interesting. Yeah.
Cognitive behavior, thinking
Yes.
for a change.
Yes.
These types of things. These are the things that has the MRT program, Moral Restoration Therapy program. These are the things that have helped me along my journey today to be clean and sober.
Mhm.
This is what has helped me. We have lost hope along the way in our addiction, but this is what Recovery University is to give you back that hope, to give you back that resilience, to give you back, a part of life, joy, love, support, meet you right where you're at.
So when one thing that I've been looking at, and I was talking to Erin about it before we started the podcast, is the idea of shame and substance use. What does that look like?
It's huge because people, they know what the stigma is towards them because they have used drugs, or they're still using drugs, or they're addicted to them, however you want to look at it. They know that the stigma is there, and there's so many people that think that they choose to be drug addicts. Cancer doesn't choose its, patients, or however you want to say it. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And at the SUDS Coalition, they said that it's actually genetics that lead to it. I'm not saying that's the stem of it. Obviously,
Sure.
There's more of that. But addiction can hit and touch anybody. It doesn't matter where you're from, what color you are,
That's right.
anything.
What's your gender?
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Rich or poor?
Yes.
What side of the tracks you live on?
Yes.
So when we look at, and that the reason why I say that is because there's this book called Atlas of the Heart. I think I said Atlas of the Mind earlier. It's Atlas of the Heart, Mapping Meaningful Connection in the Language of Human Experience, written by Brene Brown, a PhD, MSW, amazing author. She writes in regards to her definition of shame as she uses an example of shame as hiding the fact that I'm in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so shameful? Is it because of the stigma?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She says this: shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love, belonging, and connection.
Mm-hmm.
So that
You hit the
flaw
nail
is
right on the head.
so that flaw is I'm a substance user, or I'm
Yeah.
in recovery for substance use. How does that affect someone? You how did it affect you? And say, like, for instance, somebody out there today who's listening, maybe they have a family member, maybe they have, maybe they're sitting here and they go, I don't know why we're doing all this for these individuals, because that's their problem. We've got a whole lot more problems going on. What does that shame do? Does it cause you to want to use more?
Yeah, and it gives you a feeling of hopelessness, like
Mhm.
there is nothing to be done. I'm just stuck in this place, and I can't do it. But people do it all the time, and there are ways. You just have to know how to reach out and take the help when it's offered. Do the work, put the work in, because it's going to take work. It's not just something you snap your fingers and do, but there is support. So you just kind of have to, I don't know, help me out, Danny.
That's the difference between being in active addiction and in recovery. That's the whole total difference there. Because when you're in active addiction, you do carry a lot of shame.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to carry that because, for one, that your mind is already being controlled by the substance use.
It's like a fog.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And you can't see clear. So it's already what I want to say is it's already a negative vibe in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You've already done, you've got to this point now in active addiction, because if you are an addict that I was, you've done lied, you done manipulated, you done stole, you done con, you done everything in the book that you can do. And now when people turn their backs on you, you get this shame, and this and what it is you tell yourself, what's the use?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody want to help me.
Yeah.
But people do want to help you. But we first have to help ourselves. We do. But that disease of addiction, that's why it's good for spouses and siblings of codependencies to learn about the nature of disease, something which you call Al-Anons.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's good for them to learn. Then they'll know how to cope with their loved ones, because a lot of times that not knowing how to cope with them, we say things that are so painful and so hurtful. My grandmother said to me one day, "Son, just stop." I said, "Granny, quit giving stuff."
Yeah.
Because that was her addiction.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Even though it didn't allow her to steal, but yet still was an addiction that she couldn't let go of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way my disease of addiction was with cocaine. I just couldn't let go of it. At the time.
Your brain tells you it's needed, just like your body needs oxygen and water. Your brain tells you, I need this. I can't function without it. And that is tunnel. I mean,
that's right.
A tunnel vision. And all you see is that. You don't see anything outside of it.
And a lot of folks, we call it addiction, and where folks don't understand, just look at it for the people that worships God and serves God. We look at that sin. We do it that way because there are things that they're affected with. It may be pride, it may be jealousy, it may be hatred, whatever it may be that they're dealing with, that they're holding on to, that they can't let go. And that's the same thing with addiction. It's something that we just hold on to, that we can't let go, and we nurture it.
Seems like a lot of. Before I ask that, let's go back. We'll go back. We'll start with you, Danny.
Okay.
Where were you when you realized that this is it? You're gonna have to stop. What was it? What were some things was it a self-awareness for you? Was it something one day you were like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to die, or what?
I tell you what, I remember the time that I was in jail, and I was trying to get my grandmother to get me out of jail, and I was begging her, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna change, and at that time that I'm just wanting out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, really.
Yeah.
But your disease will tell you that, oh, you're gonna be fine, you can change, but it's gonna have its way. What really helped me change is that when she told me, she said, "Son, you're killing me. I've turned you over to God."
Mm.
That's the best thing that she could have ever done to me, because I heard it in her voice. I literally heard the pain in her voice. And did I stop at that time? No, I didn't. Still didn't at that time. But it was something that kept ringing in my mind, in my heart the whole time. Even when I got high again, I could always hear her. And then there was a point that I had gotten incarcerated again, sat down. And that's when life began to change for me then.
Mm.
It began to change. See, sometimes prison ain't a bad thing,
Mm.
As people may think it is, because I know that family don't want to see their loved ones in behind the fence or incarcerated, but they also don't want to see them in the morgue neither, or the cemetery. So, being incarcerated really saved my life this time. And what you call is abstinence. Sometimes we have to be withdrawn from the people, places, and things that we have been around all our lives.
Did you go into jail detoxed, or did you have to detox first?
No, I didn't have to detox.
So you was already. So once you that clarity came to mind,
I went to work.
You went to work.
I went to work. And what I mean by that is, I started taking all the programs that I could take to help change my way of thinking, my way of looking at things, my whole perspective. I got into treatment program. I done 90 days in the treatment. And after my 90 days, I volunteered another 9 months to help be a peer support in prison. I took cognitive behavior, thinking for a change. I took the SOAR program. I took behavior techniques. And, I took the peer support program. I just continued to stay focused. I chaired the NA meetings. I chaired the AA meetings. I became a life coach and a sponsor guys incarcerated. But most of all, I turned my life over to Christ Jesus, and He was my foundation, and He made everything else fit around Him.
Wow. All right, Erin. I know you follow that. It's pretty heavy, but
yeah.
What was it that what happened for you to recognize, what, I'm going to have to change?
Jail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was in jail. I got arrested, and my mama gave me a big heaping of tough love.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you had that person in your life that was like, hey, look.
Yeah. Like, I had been arrested multiple times before, but I'd always just been bailed out. I'd never actually made it to a jail cell. And I detoxed in jail, which was not fun.
But that was hard.
23 and a half hours a day by myself in a room, racking my brain. You do a lot of thinking. And I kept asking for a book. Something to read. And finally, after about 3 days, the CO handed me a Bible. And I was just like, I don't want, this is not what I wanted. Do not give me a Bible. And that's what she gave me. And she said, that's all you can have. And I said, oh my gosh. And I just had so much time. And I had a relationship with God growing up. My grandpa was a preacher. My mom and dad made sure we were in church. But I had got really mad at God
Sure.
when
Yeah.
my sister died, and so I was like, I do not want to read this book, but I'm so bored. And I don't know if anybody's ever read the first couple books of the Bible. They're not all that interesting.
Yeah, they're not barn burners.
No, Leviticus will
Yeah, it'll get you.
it'll get you.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat there and I read. I mean, for like a week and a half, I read. And my mom finally, it was like 17 or 18 days. She said, well, I can get you out. What are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to rehab.
Very good.
And she said, well, your court date's just a couple days away. Like, you could just stay and, when you get out on your court date, and then, you don't have to, because Mom had laid the law down on me. You're coming home. You're not going to just go do whatever you want to do. If I bail you out, you're going to have to do what I say. And I said, nope, come get me. I'm going to rehab. I don't care that I have court in a couple days and I could get out and do what I want to do. But my mom had my kids for the second time while I was in jail. So that was my wake up call. Having to detox in jail, knowing that my kids were gonna have to, be somewhere else. Luckily I had my mom.
Yeah.
Because their dad was in jail too at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they were left out in the cold. And I think what really got me was when I got arrested, I could have been at home with my kids and they were at home. Like, I had to call my mom from the jail cell and say, I've been arrested. The girls are at home by themselves. Go get them. So I think that was probably my wake up call.
Yeah.
Was having to make that call.
Yeah. Realization.
Yeah.
Wow.
That I'm not taking care of my kids. I'm not being the mom I should be.
Yeah. And it's something about parenting.
Yeah.
It's something about parenting that really kind of opens your eyes up and say, what did I do wrong here? What can I do to improve this? And and I think both of y'all agree that and I've heard somebody say this. Somebody said this to me a couple months back. You cannot fully love someone until you're able to love yourself.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Like, I love my kids. I've always loved my kids, but I don't think I loved them correctly all the time.
Yeah. Well, me neither. Me neither. Yeah, I get it. And but you don't. I guess the reason is because we struggle with so many things growing up, and then lo and behold, we're given this new human to raise, and guess what? Those humans don't come with
Instruction.
That's right. No value.
No. And so we're having to do this on our own, and then later on we go, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, I just like to, really just say, I appreciate every one of my children's mothers because I was an irresponsible dad, and if it had not been, as Erin said, to have someone there to love and support them, because I couldn't, as you said, I couldn't even love myself because I wouldn't have put myself through the things that I put myself through if I loved myself. For example, today, I don't put myself through those things because I love me today, and I love what I do. I love me so much that I want to be able to give back a portion of me to those that are going through the same thing to let them know that there is a way out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's kind of like with my kids. I'm not going to throw off on their dad by any means because he was always a good dad in his own way. And of the two of us, I was the one that was the constant that, he had been to jail a couple times or had to go to rehab a couple times. And I was always the constant that was there. I was the one that was dependable. And I remember one time, and it was not long before I got arrested, that my oldest one looked at me and said, what are you doing? You're supposed to be the one that I can count on.
Wow. That's huge.
So then it wasn't long after that I was arrested, and I was just like, what, like,
Yeah.
they don't have either one of us at this point.
Yeah,
So,
the child becomes the parent,
Yes.
and then
yes.
Yep.
The hero.
Yeah, I've seen that. I felt that. Yeah, because I think, one of the things that I learned in this program called Circle of Security Parenting is we have our hands on this circle of their security, and when they turn around and we're not there, they're lost. They don't know where to go.
No.
They're looking for that guidance. They're looking for that leader. They're looking for that parent. And for her to say that, wow, that's brave of her.
Yeah.
That was very brave of her.
Yeah. I mean, she would voice her opinions every once in a
Sure.
while about things, but they were generally geared towards her dad.
Mm-hmm.
And for her to turn around and look at me and say that,
Wow.
I was, of course, I deflected when
Sure.
she said it,
Sure.
but I heard her.
You still had that fog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard her though.
Yeah, it made an impact because you still remember it to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some tough moments. But here you are, sober living,
Praise
in recovery. What's that like?
It's great. It's great. I tell Danny all the time, the little things like the sunset, or just being like walking down the street and you see a pretty flower.
Mm-hmm.
Little things like that you appreciate. And just getting to be here, it's appreciated.
I can see that. I can see it I can see how that draws it out of you.
It does.
I honor that.
Yeah.
Danny?
Just to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in spite of, regardless of, I have a past, but the people that I'm surrounded by today, they don't throw it up at me. I don't even hear it. And sometimes I forget I got a pass.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's a blessing just to be in recovery. To wake up and know what I done last night. To wake up knowing that I have a job to go to. To wake up and know that my kids love me today. I mean, I talked to them today that when I was in active addiction, I didn't talk to them, but I can't even really explain how I actually really feel. It's the joy of being happy.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell that both of you just sitting here in front of you, the joy just, it comes out of you, because we've seen it, just in the past, with us going and visiting and making visitation, we see individuals who are in active use and they look like life's just taking everything out of them.
Yeah.
And to sit here and look at you guys, all I see is this life and just an abundance of it pouring out of you. And that's a difference, right?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Yes, sir. And I'm quite sure a whole lot of folks that's probably listening that in this county, they know me and Erin.
Mm-hmm.
They know us. I mean, where we were, and to see where we are at now, they know the program works. They know that there's a God that loves them. They know it. They have to know it.
Mm-hmm. But with so many of them, the program works, but you have to work the program.
That's right.
You have to do it. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the time to do it. It doesn't happen overnight. And so many of us, and I was the same way, like in my addiction, I like to say I was kind of spoiled because I wanted it my way and only my way. And having, going to rehab and having somebody look at you and say, no, you can't do that. Or you have to get up at 6 o'clock and make your bed and make it this way. And I'm a picky eater, so when they brought out beans, I said, I'm not eating this.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you'll starve.
Yeah.
Like, you have to swallow your pride and your humility and take it and say, I'm going to work this program no matter how much I don't like it at this point in time, because it will get better. And I think a lot of people have that they say, okay, I can do this, and then they get there and it gets just a little bit hard, or they get just a little bit upset about something very minor in the long run, and they say, I can't do this, and they walk away.
That's interesting, because it's almost like, you said, you made a comment right there about I didn't like something. It's almost like a child.
Yeah.
You're going back to that childlike.
You are.
You're not.
My mom told me that she had done research that when you start using drugs, your maturity and your brain function, or how it develops, stops. So me, as a 37-year-old, when I stopped using drugs, I look at to everybody else, I'm a 37-year-old, but mentally and developmentally, sometimes in the maturity levels, I'm still that 23-year-old, because I've not been doing the regular adulting things like paying bills or cleaning the house, or, just the regular mundane things that people don't think about. So you have to relearn how to do all that, because you weren't learning it before. You were too busy chasing whatever it is you wanted.
Wow.
It's amazing you say that, Erin, because it's like being in a car wreck and you get broke up and paralyzed.
Yeah.
Broke up, and you have to learn how to walk again. That means that they have to go to therapy.
Yeah.
They have to have structure in their life and go to therapy, and they have to, sacrifice their time and go to therapy if they want to learn how to walk again.
Yeah.
And that's the same way it is in this program. If you want to learn how to live again, you have to sacrifice and give up something to get something.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to, like you say, relive all over again. I was still that 14-year-old at 40 years old. 14 mentally, and emotionally, I was,
Yeah. Well, I can't say how thankful I am as the Alexander County Port Coordinator to have you two on our team. Just in the past several months, as we have went out, I just know I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this without you. I'm so thankful that your story. I honor your tears. I honor what you've been through, and your story is just amazing to hear. And I'm so thankful to have you on our team. Tell me, you got something coming up May 6th, Recovery University. You mentioned it earlier. Kind of tell us what Recovery University is and what you'll be doing in regards to that.
Well, in this county, one of the main things that we know as recovering addicts is we don't have any support or outreach. So if you're struggling, there is nowhere for you to go. No kind of NA, AA, none of that stuff. So we wanted to start Recovery University to give people that support. They can come. We'll talk to them about learning the proper steps in recovery. Throw in here, Danny. Learning the steps. I'm blanking now.
So, like, for instance, one of the things you have on this card here is you have two separate classes. One of them is the Recovery Roadmap. So, what is the Recovery Roadmap going to offer?
Recovery Roadmap is going to offer. It says recovery. We will discuss the fundamentals of recovery and share the tools. Number one, we're going to recognize that there is a problem. First, we have to understand and know that we have a problem dealing with our addictions or whatever the problem may be. It don't necessarily have to be drugs or alcohol. It can be any type of addiction that we're here to support and help you with. And here we're going to educate you on the opportunities to get to help, and to connect you to the resources that are available. And hopefully through the process of this, it's all about service work too, hoping that you'll volunteer your time to pay it forward to someone else, and we're going to want you to help, and we're going to encourage you and hope you would encourage others as well. And, and
help you fight and overcome some of the obstacles, like finding jobs or some of the big things that you come to when you first start your recovery process.
Because y'all had a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
Once y'all were in your recovery program, y'all had a lot to overcome.
Yeah, you have to find a
Overcome
job. You have to
jobs.
keep your, you have to keep a little bit of structure. You have to have a schedule a little bit. You have to have a purpose besides chasing your high. And you, not only that, but there's obstacles that you've created along your addiction journey too, whether that's some problems with law enforcement or charges in your past, driver's license, being on probation or parole, all these things. Those are obstacles that you still have to jump over, and so we can kind of help navigate through that.
But y'all know that. Y'all been through that. Interesting.
I'm a witness myself to be able to achieve these things in my life. I just got my license back a couple of days ago. They've been gone for 36 years.
Wow.
I lost them when I was 19 years old. And I mean, it was a long road ahead. I mean, it had cost me, but being in recovery, people have been there to help me through this, to support me and go and talk on my behalf and to help me in this journey, because this is what recovery do. It will help you get back the things that you have lost in your addiction. Yeah. First time ever completing parole. I've always violated probation or parole. I've never completed it. This is the first time I've completed parole. I always paid my money up, made all my visits, never failed no drug test. This is what recovery will do. Yeah. I've failed 25 or 30 tests at times.
Yeah, and people don't realize how hard that really is. Yeah. Completing parole or probation. People take for granted having driver's license. Yeah. Because once you lose them, it is hard to get them back. Yeah. Hard. So.
Yeah. And I've noticed that, Danny specifically, you just came off parole. Even during the low times in parole,
yes, sir.
you still pushed yourself to have a good attitude.
Oh yeah,
because you had to.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Because there's one thing that in being an active addiction that we hate is no. Yeah. And these are the things that's going to happen in your life. People's going to tell you no. There's going to be people that's not going to forgive you. There's people that's going to continue to throw your past up your face. But what do you do? Do you allow that to continue to affect you and keep you in active addiction, or do you pick up and move forward with your life? Because I tell you, it's a wonderful feeling to be clean and sober today.
Yeah. And so the other program other class you have is called Smart Recovery. Erin, tell us about that.
Yeah, Smart Recovery. It stands for, we're going to learn some self-management and recovery training, and it's going to be for family members who have family members of their own who are in active addiction or are in their recovery process, so that they know how to help them recover or in their recovery, or how to, not help or not enable them in their addiction, because there's a very fine line between enabling and being helpful, I guess. Yeah. And I know that was one thing that my mom, during my addiction, she really struggled with, not having a support system here in the county. And I know that there are a lot of them out there that they could really use reaching out and having the support of some other family members that are going through the same thing.
Yeah. You can speak a lot into that, and I'm very thankful. That is, we were at the spring fling yesterday, and the people that came by, when they heard that there was actually going to be something for family members of those who are in substance use, they were really excited to see that, because that's something that we don't have at all. And to have that support and give them an opportunity to vent and share their frustration is definitely something. And this is a program, as the coordinator report, this is a program that you've named it, you've put it together, you've come up with a plan, and I'm super excited for it to kick off, because it's something that we've needed for a long time. And I tell you, I can't tell you how excited I am for that to take place, and I know you guys are definitely excited about it as well. So we're about finished. Anything else you want to say before we head out?
Yes, I like to say, man, I really appreciate our coordinator too, Shannon,
Mhm.
because he truly have been a blessing to us to give us the opportunity to
Yes.
be able to trust us
Mhm.
to be a part of this team and this program. And I tell you, he has really, God has really used him to boost my confidence level even higher than what it was before I started here. So I'm really grateful and appreciative to be up under him and to learn more and more of what that he has to offer us.
Well, I'm definitely excited. The sky's the limit in regards to what this program is going to do. And, just like the sheriff said a couple of weeks ago, he said, I don't think you understand how valuable your peer sports are and how I don't think you could have found two better ones to start this program with. And I was like, look, you ain't got to tell me nothing. I know for a fact. So I do thank y'all for coming on, and I look forward to working with you. And this has been Hope Dealers.